On this episode of Buff's Garage, I take this retired police undercover surveillance van and turn it into the ultimate A-Team van in just 2.5 days.
Getting ready to jump on a flight headed north. It's an 80s van, 540 miles home.
Well, disaster struck. I got it.
I love it when a band comes together.
Can't use that. That's copyrighted. On this episode, I'm going to take this retired police undercover surveillance van and convert it into the ultimate A-Team van. I have a trip to Duct Tape Drags in Tucson, Arizona coming up, and I have about a week and a half to do it. So, if you can't make something fast, make it cool.
Well, good morning. It's bright and early here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm at the Tulsa International Airport, getting ready to jump on a flight headed north to pick up another project. It's super early. Welcome to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where I am waiting on my bag to hopefully show up. I've got there's like 2 bags on the whole conveyor, and neither one of them's mine. So either they lost mine or they just haven't put it on the belt yet. I don't know.
That's a wrong carousel altogether. Here we go, Cedar Rapids. What's up, Pop?
Sandy. That's Sandy. She's harmless. Oh, okay.
It's Jim.
Hey.
So why did I travel all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, clear to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to meet up with inevitable Jim Anderson at his local business? Well, what you may not know is Jim also has another business where he buys and sells old police vehicles. And we're talking Crown Vic Interceptors, police package Tahoes, and then this special thing. What you see before you is an 80s year-ish, somewhere in the 80s, mid-80s. It's a Chevrolet full-size van. Now this sucker has been in police care for most of its life, which is why it's only got about 70-some thousand miles on it. It was actually a police undercover surveillance van. Just check out that 90s tent. Jim has had this van for a while, and he's been trying to figure out something special to do with it. And let me tell you, Jim is a guy that knows his vans. So when he heard I was going full-time YouTube, he says, "You gotta come get this van." I think he tried to talk somebody else into it first. Let me show you why I think that. So anyway, this van has been in Jim's possession for a little while now, and Jim wanted to see it hit the road. He's got a maintenance record stacked this thick from this van being, I guess, from the entire time it was maintained by the police department. He's saying, now I'm going to take this thing and see what we can do with it. What am I supposed to do with a full-size police surveillance van? I don't know. Let's take a look at it. Well, I thought it had a hitch. Kind of. Not really. All right, so we're going to have to do something about that. You know, it looks pretty good. Underneath, a few little dings here and there, probably from some kind of tactical maneuver, getting out of here real quick and slammed it into something. Maybe that was a bad guy's forehead, I don't know. Got some custom pinstriping down the side. Perfect paint. That's flaking off. A little bit of patina. All right there. And it is the Bowville. Ooh. And just like Brian Van Tannen, it's running a 235/75/15. They look to be in decent shape. They're not horrible. They still got some tread on them. So we'll see how long we can make them last before they blow. Which with me, you know, is inevitable. Now let's look under the hood. Okay, got the keys. So one of the cool things about the van is it was a one owner vehicle from like 20 miles. And that one owner was a town called Virginia, Minnesota, I believe. I'll double check, but basically one owner, and it was the municipality that owned it, and it definitely looks like they did some sketchy stuff with it. So let's check it out. All right, first test. Door opened. Nice interior, look at that. Big cushy seat. Factory original stereo. Even got a strobe light. And right there, 72,000 miles. And in the back, it's got a little boat seat with a desk and a divider in the back. Let's go check out back there. And in the back, where there would be a spare, there's not one. Jim said there was a generator here, which I assume is all of this. And of course the big wall there separated that. Pretty interesting. Now the cool part. Oh yeah, look at the fade from the sun. It's crazy. It's like a rear heater. Oh yeah. Heat and AC maybe? I don't know. Got your little desk back there. Do all the surveillance. All right. Let's see what's behind door number 1. Come on, Chevy. Way back in there is a small block Chevy. Looks like it's got a good side post battery. You got some brake fluid. I'll check all these fluids here in a minute. Yeah. Let's fire it up. He said it's been sitting, so let's see what happens. Fires right up. Oh wow. Windows work. Perfect. Oh yeah, this is gonna be pimp. Let's do the little pull around here. Okay, well, we were parked around back, drove it around. Power steering seems like it's got a little bit of a squeal, so I don't know if the pump's going out, but we'll check the fluids real quick, and then I've got a very long drive home. All right, we popped it once. Let's do it again for real this time. There we go. Apparently I didn't bring a towel, but United gave me this fancy blanket on the flight here, so it has now become Fluid Checker 3000. That stuff is just perfect. Now we've had it running. It's not currently running, but take a look at the trans. Oh, bright red, no burn, perfect. Not unhappy with that. I'm not going to check the coolant. Overflow's got something in it, so that's good. Power steering's got plenty, so that pump's probably on the way out, but that's okay. So brake, oh, perfectly clear. Beautiful brake fluid. This one's a little darker, but that's okay. It's still full. Still good. Got a good battery in it. Well, this is the thing when you buy a vehicle from a guy that owns his own auto repair shop. It's well maintained. Add in the fact that it was owned by a municipality before that, and it's got every record. Let me show you that. Jim was so kind to give me every piece of paper from this van, from the city of Virginia, Minnesota. Even has a 350 crate engine that was replaced about 20,000 miles ago. So we'll go through and look at all that. But all in all, I can't be more excited for the mechanical side of this. Yeah, it's not the prettiest to look at, and it's lacking with a little bit of interior, but what it comes with is not only a sound mechanical drivetrain, but a very unique history, being that it was a vehicle set up for the municipality. It's only been owned by the municipality since it was brand new, and obviously converted into some kind of surveillance vehicle. I don't know if they repurposed it later, and that's why the city decals were on the door, but it definitely had the 90s Undercover vibe going on with the purple tint. So yeah, I've got a little under 600 miles left to get home, so I'm going to go ahead and pack all this up, say goodbye to Jim, and start heading south. All right, now according to Jim, this thing has AC that works, and I can hear this thing cycling as I drive along, but it's of course blowing out. That gets a little cool, but it's not cold. So I'm gonna take Jim at his word that it works, and I'm gonna put a little juice in here and see if we can't revive the AC. But in the meantime, in G-Wagon fashion, windows down, got my hand on the outside mirror, my foot up on the wheel hump here down below, and just driving in van style. So I'm gonna go find me a parts store, maybe a little bite to eat, and then head south. I'm disappointed. This one actually has decent wiper blades. I mean, they're not great, but they're better than Brian Vantana's. So we need to come up with a name for this one. We got Brian Vantana, we got Brian Boat Tana, which you guys are gonna see as soon as I can get that video, you know, recovered. And we need to name this one. This one was an undercover police van, so we need to come up with a cool name. Add this to my receipt pile here. We'll get that all in a folder, and if I sell this thing, they get all the receipts with it. Got the fan back here, blowing air. Fan up here with the AC going. You can hear this thing cycling on and off. Yep, just like Jim said, it's short cycling, which means it's holding a charge. Now the proper thing to do is to go ahead and shut all this down, extract everything out of it, pull a vacuum, and then see if it'll hold a vacuum, make sure we don't have any leaks. But we're just gonna see if we can get home. And it's 80 plus degrees right now, so let's just see if we can get some AC going. As is normal for Buff's Garage, I got the cheapest can of junk I could get, but hopefully it's just enough to give us that chilly feeling. It is just a little low. So the few blocks test drive, I went ahead and stopped and put some gas in it because it was getting low on fuel and acting like it. And I'd have been worried about the fuel pump, but I've got a receipt showing that they just replaced one not too long ago. I want to make mention that this seat is a lot more cushy than the one in Brian Vantana. Now with that, it's also less supportive. So I feel like my butt has gone through the top and the bottom there and just made its own home back there. So hopefully I don't fall through the seat. All right, so I got about 600 miles to put down under me, so we're off. Oh, and did I mention I got a spare? Jim was nice enough to throw a spare in the back just because he knows my experience with blowouts. So that was nice of him. Appreciate that. All right, onward. All right, another new thing I found. Get up at about 35 miles per hour and hit the brakes, and it does a nice little lunge toward the driver's side. Pulls just a little bit to the left, just on the brakes. So we'll have to check that out, well, after we get somewhere. So, just one more thing to add to the list. Oh no, a Harbor Freight. I can't drive by and not stop. Just pull this magnificent beast right up here to the front. Part of the issue is I did get a spare tire, but I don't know if I've got a jack or a tire tool or anything else in case I do have a blowout. And with my reputation, it just makes sense to go ahead and grab one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a basic tool set, jack, tire tool, and that'll make me feel a little safer going home. Plus, it's Harbor Freight. It's cheap. Yeah, that's the one. That should do the job. Went ahead and grabbed the 4-way. Here's one. Now we'll see just what else I need before I leave out of here, and hopefully, you know, you buy extra stuff and then you don't need it. So that's the goal here. Well guys, it is getting really late and still shaking this thing down, and I've noticed that it's trying to buck under load. So I'm just going to call it a night, kind of look the van over in the morning in the daylight, get some sleep and edit, and we'll pick up where we left off tomorrow morning. Well, it's morning and the van is still here. Because nobody wants a police van for themselves. Saw this when I opened the door. Just as glorious as I remember. Oh, that seat. We've got to do something about this seat. That is very uncomfortable. You just fall right through that hole right there. Oh, it was supposed to be gray, not tan. Well, let's see if it starts. Dang it. Well, I got about 350 miles left to go, so I guess let's hit it. Stop by my local Goodwill to fix this seat cushion. Fixed. Well, disaster struck. Starting to overheat. I've got no battery, alternator, and the power steering isn't power steering. So if I were a betting man, I'd bet I lost the belt. Let's go look. Yep, I see no belt. Oh, there it is. It's all shredded in there. Awesome. And we might overflow. Well, okay then, this should be fun with no tools on the side of the road. I'm gonna go ahead and let this cool down a little bit, and then it says I got about 8.5-ish miles to the next parts store. I noticed that I all of a sudden didn't have power steering. Everything else was working fine, and then, you know, the old gauge just started rising. So pulled over immediately, and sure enough, the belt's shredded. So we'll make it to the parts store, grab a wrench or two, and hopefully be back on the road. Oh, and a belt, I guess. Whatever you do, don't try this at home. Fired the engine up, got it going up the hill. Now I'm going down a hill. So I shut her off, put her in neutral, and we're gaining miles without overheating the engine. Hopefully the airflow is helping cool it off a little bit, because nothing else is. Even in neutral, managed to limp it to the exit that I need. There's no Riley's just right down the road. Should be able to get what I need and get back on the road, hopefully. And I made it. Still in neutral. Let's see. Oh, gotta fight it. There we go. Thank you, O'Reilly's. Alright, got my new belt, got my tool kit, and we're all set to do our parking lot mechanic work. Gotta love it. Tensioner seems fine, so I'll see if I can't get a ratchet on it And I got to pull the rest of this belt out of here. And everything, just for whatever reason, seems really hot. Ouch. Yeah, there's part of it. Looks like 4th of July at Kickin' Wings. I got snakes and sparklers here. Mostly snakes. So there's most of the belt. It was actually wrapped around the fan clutch, knotted up in there. But now that it's all clear, should be able to get the new one on there. But we'll let it cool down a little bit first. It does not want to go. Well, at this point, I'm ready to get the AC going again. Let's look underneath. All right, everybody where they want to be. Last chance. Wow, these motor mounts are nice. Look almost brand new. All right. Everybody's where they're supposed to be, so I guess let's put this back together and fire it up. All right. Let's test it. Just like that, I got power steering again. AC is still going. Everything looks fine. I guess let's get back on the road. That looks immediately better. Look at that. It's charging again. Not overheating. All right, let's hit the road. Well, I'm about an hour north of Kansas City, and I'm losing power pretty regularly now. I mean, it almost feels like I'm hitting a gust of wind and the whole thing just kind of slows down and it stutters and then it'll take back off. What it seems like is maybe I've lost a plug wire and it's intermittent, or it's grounding out, or maybe something inside the distributor. Either way, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'd like to see if I can't limp it on to Dalton's at Pole Barn Garage, and then we can diagnose it and get some parts and replace it. But at this point, hopefully I just make it there. So I'm gonna top off with fuel and head that way. Now it may be acting up more simply because it's hot, and I noticed the temp gauge was going up a little bit while I was cruising along, sitting around that 200, 210 mark. Now, running AC, it is a warm day, but, well, I did lose a little bit of coolant earlier, so maybe just top that off. Point I'm making is, I've got about an hour left to go, and I just don't want to have any more problems, so I'm going to just take a look. Unfortunately, in a van, there's a lot to disassemble. So we're going to move our drink, go ahead and unhook our phone charger, and then inside here we got two screws right there. We got two bolts in the floor holding this side down. I went ahead and removed this one, and I went to remove this one and the head snapped off, so that's good enough. And then you got a clamp like this on each side that sucks it towards the firewall. So I'll get these two screws out, and then, then two screws down here. This comes off, undo that, that comes off. We should be able to get full access to the engine. This is always the fun part. You gotta have the seat back in the right spot. This van's in great shape. It's still got the factory Velcro holding the carpet on. That's nice. There we go. Woo, that's hot. Now the trick for me, at least in these vans with the aftermarket seats, is I'll pull it as far back as it can go and then tip this end up. There we go. Deputy Registrar. Huh. And just like that, we have a 350. Now, of course, the heat is just emanating off of this thing. So the goal here is, without getting scalded, is just to check all the plug wires. That seems obvious. Looking at them, nothing's touching. Well, that one, no, it's good. That's good. Let's go check this other side. Nothing's touching anything that it shouldn't. Rather than go ahead and pull all these plugs and look at them, I'm going to just pop the top off the cap and see if there's any issues that I can see inside the distributor. If not, then it may be a distributor pickup that we need to replace, and if that's the case, then hopefully I can limp it to Dalton's and pick one up there. Let's just take a look at it real quick. Well, the valve covers leak quite a bit. We might make time to fix that. Probably not. You would have thought when they swapped the engine they would have, I don't know, cleaned them? Maybe put proper valve cover gaskets on there? That seems like too much, I guess. Well, everything's pretty dirty in here. Got some rust. Looks like there was water in this cap at some point from sitting. Probably wouldn't hurt to throw a new cap on it. Dealing with ignition problems, we'll get a new rotor and cap. Yeah, it's definitely corroded. All right, well, nothing is alarming, so I will put it back together, see if we can't limp it to Dalton's and correct any issues there. Mostly need to make sure this thing is cooling well before we take it out to the desert. Nothing down here looks too bad. Let's close it up just like it came out. Drop the bottom down, pull back until it clears the dash. Ouch, cut your finger. There we go. Okay, back together. Now it's time to get back on the road and see if I can make it to Dalton's. See if it runs any better, even though I didn't do anything. Let's find out. Well, I'm back at the Red and Green Palace. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up a distributor cap and rotor, and hopefully that remedies the problem. So driving from the last stop to here, anyway, what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by my battery dying was, so it was running really good along this last little leg to the point that I kind of believe I'd fixed it, but the truth is I didn't, because as I got a little closer to Dalton's it started acting up again, and it kind of stutters. Like it's not running out of fuel, it's not just powering down, it just stutters. So it's obviously missing somewhere in the firing order, somewhere in the ignition system. So I just stopped by the old O'Reilly's, picked up those parts, headed to Dalton's. There's the cop. Headed to Dalton's, and then we'll switch those parts out, and I'll help him out with the Sky Goat if he needs any help. And then I gotta get home so I can get this thing ready for Tucson. Uh-oh, it's the meeting of the vans. I got the UPS truck and the Amazon Prime truck and the FBI van. We're having a party. Garbage has arrived. Well, look at those beautiful valve covers.
I like these better.
Well, another late evening, but I hung out with Dalton and helped him with the Sky Goat, getting it ready for Duct Tape Drags. Now I'm going to head in and edit for a little bit, then finish the drive home. It's about 3 hours to get home. And then we've got to start converting this van into a duct tape drag worthy vehicle. All right, see you in the morning. I got it. Can't use that. That's copyrighted. Now to get some parts. Yes, I know, I hate to admit it, but O'Brien Vantana has something I need. Truth is, this van and the other van have a lot in common, and they share a lot of the same parts, and some of those parts I'm gonna need to get myself all the way to Arizona and back. Now, the other van, what it lacks in Brian Vantana's style, it makes up for in, I guess, questionable reliability. For the most part, it's a 5.7 350 with a TBI. It's nothing exciting, but at the end of the day, it's going to get me to Tucson and back without any major issues. But we gotta bring up the style. And for style points, you can't really beat a set of Western wheels, which Brian Vantana has. Yes, that would be stealing the wheels off of him, but they're going to a good cause. I also think I can get some backup wheels, and if all else fails, I can call lugnutguys.com and they'll hook me up with another set of wheels for this van. But I kind of need to steal the wheels and air shocks. We got to get the back end of that other van up a little bit. And honestly, anything else I find, because I literally got 4 days. So let me do this real quick and be back on the road.
All right, I got the wheels and tires. Got new tires coming. And I got just about every other part I could think of that I might need for this trip. Now it's time to get this thing home and get it converted.
Well, I made it back from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I got the van back in the shop, but it's getting close. I've got like 3 or 4 days before I have to be on the road to Duct Tape Drags. So I got to start this conversion process really quick. Let me show you the inspiration here.
Okay, let me explain, because I don't think you're getting it. You can use the image, you can copy the likeness, but you cannot use the theme song. It is a copyright issue. You will get a strike on YouTube. Feel free to use your parody, but you cannot use the theme song. Got it? And don't forget, you can support the channel by picking up all the Buffs Garage merch, including this new hat at buffsgarage.com.
What I understand, talking to some auto body and paint guys, is GM used a water-based paint on these vehicles from the factory, and because of that, that's why it's peeling off. And I can't paint over that. And I need to be able to paint this in like 2 days. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit the car wash and see how much of this I can blow off with the pressure washer, and then come back and I guess sand the rest of it off, because you can't paint over it. This stuff is probably okay. We can just hit it and smooth it out, get rid of some of these rust spots, and then the rest of this, it's all going to come off. So it's going to be a long couple of days. I mean, this is a football field long vehicle here, and I've got to sand it all, because we're going to completely change the color, going to change the look. I've got wheels for it that you saw me steal off Brian Vantana. We're going to paint those red, and don't worry about the windows. It's not canon to the whole A-Team van, but by the time I'm done with it, you'll barely even know that they're there. And from 20 feet away, nobody's going to see it. But I guarantee it's going to get looks. You know what? I got 2 days, so let's get going. All right, I got the van down to the car wash, and looks like somebody else has already kind of trashed the place, so I don't feel so bad about it. I guess what we need to do now is fire this thing up and see how much of this water-based paint we can get stripped off with just a little bit of pressure. And then whatever's left, we'll have to go back and sand off. So hopefully this takes a lot of it off. Cross our fingers. So you can see the different color. That's how much paint did come off between here and here whenever I used the pressure washer. Knocked some flakes off there, a little bit off here. Didn't really do a lot in this area. In fact, it's still just flaking off. But we're gonna have to sand all this off because it won't stick and stay to this. It's just gonna lift if I don't sand it. Now it did pretty good here because this whole bottom was that silver color, and now you can see it's pretty much primered. So they're gonna take it all down, but at least there's a lot less of it to do that. Why do I keep getting vehicles with orange strobe lights on the top? I don't know, but while I was gone I got mail, so let's open this up and take a look. There you go, there's the new front plate. Now I do have insurance on the van, but I haven't had it tagged yet because I technically have 30 days to do that, and I'll already be back from Tucson before I need to do that, so I'll just carry my paperwork with me. So we're gonna run this plate on the back and hopefully not get pulled over or get a ticket. Okay, so that's the original from the TV show and kind of follows the theme of the vehicle, but for obvious reasons we'll run this one on the front, this one on the back. It'll be pretty cool. I guess I gotta start stripping these emblems off and then we gotta start sanding. All right, I guess now we gotta start peeling this trim off because that's not what it looks like in the picture. And that's okay, half of it's already off, so it's not like it's that big a deal. It's gonna be a pain in the butt to get the sticky stuff off. Yep, that's gonna be fun. I think as hot as it is, it would have melted this stuff a little bit. You too, little one. Deleted. Well, no idea if you can tell, but it's really hot in the shop, and as thankful as I am to even have hard surfaces and walls to work out of, it's pretty warm, yeah. And I hear it's going to cool down next week here in Oklahoma, just in time for me to be in the desert. So anyway, I'm going to take a break from stripping this stuff off because I got it down to this double-sided tape that I now have to painfully extract one strip at a time. So I'm going to lay on the cold floor and install some air shocks that I bought for Brian Vantana and never got put in. I figured that'll give this van a little bit more attitude, a little bit more angle, and it'll fit the new tires that I'm putting on in the back. So I'm going to be under the van cooling off and putting in some air shocks. Just a quick comparison of the old shock to the new. Yeah, that's got no bounce left to it, so that wasn't really doing us any good anyway. This not only does have the bounce, but it's adjustable. We'll put the air line on it, run it to the back, and be able to lift her up. Should be good. All right, I got the new shocks installed. I got the lines run. It is a 2-into-1 system. So unfortunately there's more opportunity for leaks, but hopefully it'll last. I went ahead and did the old school thing where we had 2 holes for a license plate. Generally you have 2 others. There's just no other place on this bumper to put it. So I put the license plate on here, drilled a hole to match up with the hole in the license plate, and secured it in. Now let's test it. That gives it a little bit more stance. Yeah, it'll work on the rest of it. Well, I know I can't use the Chevy symbol because the 18 van's a GMC. So we're going to get a GMC. I guess I could probably cut one out of vinyl. No, that wouldn't work. Wait, I know. Tailgate's ruined anyway, so let's just steal this one. Stolen. Now let's make the C match its counterparts in there. Well, I'm back at it this morning. I've started in on trying to sand some of this paint off because we don't want any of this flaking paint left underneath when we prime it and paint it, because it's just going to then flake off again. I've got all the trim and badges deleted, but it left behind this double-sided tape that's being a real bear to get off. It's almost like it's been there for 30 years or something. So we've tried all kinds of different techniques to get this stuff off, but what seems to be working right now is just the manual scraping of it to get it off, and then I guess we'll just hit it with the sander and hope it melts off. The main concern is getting all this paint off, and of course getting this stripped and ready so that we can get it primed today, because I only have 2 days left. And I'd like the paint to have a little bit of dry time before I start driving it across the desert. I stayed up last night and primered all the chrome, so the mirrors, the handles, the bumpers, everything in that picture of the A-Team van actually was body color, so either silver or black, wherever it corresponded on the vehicle. So I stayed up late and did that, and then I started on the roof a little bit, but it needs to be fully sanded. Anywhere on top that had flaking paint that wasn't just rust, I'm gonna have to go back through, sand it, and then re-primer it. This thing's a football field long. Hopefully I've got the time to get it done in the next 2 days, because it's taking forever. Yeah, stripping this off, I was hoping I could do it with 120, but sometimes I need the 80 grit to get all that paint down, and then we hit it with a 220, and then we'll prime it. Back to sanding. It's only 100 and some degrees with humidity. Here we go. Time to get some supplies. Since we're going to be going down to bare metal, went ahead and got a gallon of self-etching primer. Well, we know we need some black. That. Well, I got the Vantana wheels laid out, and I finally found a use for all of these, you know, instruction manuals that nobody ever likes to use. You can usually use some note cards or even a deck of playing cards and just work your way around, but I didn't have either, so I'm using my instruction manuals, cutting them up and working my way around the rim. Just tuck them underneath the lip. That should give you just enough barrier. If you get a little overspray, you can always come back with a little bit of thinner and knock that down, but we're changing the tires anyway. This is just because I don't have a way to break these down before I take them to the tire shop. So we're gonna go ahead and get these things painted up and try to beat the rain that's coming. And once they are red, then we'll come back with the clear coat and finish them off. Well, I got 2 down, 2 to go. I went ahead and decided to go ahead and do the lug nuts, because in the picture the lug nuts are also red, and the center caps. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm sure they'll get chipped up and scratched, but we can touch them up along the way. Let's get these other 2 done. Wheels turned out nice. Just need to get the new tires on there. Well, it's super hot and humid out today, so we decided to bring the van outside, get a little bit more of a breeze going, and knock the dust down inside the garage. This is some back-breaking work for just a tractor paint job. Some of you might wonder, why wouldn't I just scuff and shoot right over top? Well, water-based paint is not the best paint ever, as you can tell with all the flaking and rust. And I'll see if I can find some examples of some pinholes. So this is factory paint, and in the factory paint, you can see where I started sanding, it's just full of these little pinhole bubbles everywhere. And so every one of them is a future paint flake just waiting to happen. So if I don't get that stuff off and then I shoot paint over top of it, it's just going to end up flaking and popping off anyway. Even though it was a real pain to get all that fancy trim off of there, it's going to make the look of the van that much better. And then of course getting all of this paint at least down to the primer. The primer looks pretty good. I can smooth it out. I don't see any pinholes or anything, but you can see in that paint. That's why all this paint has to come off of this football field sized van. Trying to look for some scrap metal to make a push bar matching the one on the van. It's got like a cattle guard looking thing on there, and I saw this pipe out here and I thought, well, that might work. It's kind of heavy duty stuff. Oh wait, what is that? I almost wonder if I could cut that up. It's got some similar shapes to it. Well, let's see what we can do with it. Alright, so we kind of mocked this up. From headlight bezel to headlight bezel, it's about 6 feet across. This futon is 6 foot 1 inch end to end. And I think we can basically cut this one to about the size we need it to be. And then take these curves and that bar that goes across the bottom there and trim them somewhere along that line right there. Scab it into this one, and we got ourselves a bumper guard, grill, whatever you call it. And then it needs a little spoiler, a little chin spoiler underneath the bottom there. So I found this part off of Brian Vantana. If I cut these extra tabs off along the bottom, it'll actually go right up underneath there. It's supposed to be the piece between the grill and the bumper, but we're going to put it underneath the bumper, and that will just hang down enough. I'll go ahead and hammer it straight again, but it'll hang down just enough to create a little illusion of a spoiler down there, and I think it'll definitely pass inspection. Did I mention I don't like sanding? Yeah, it's really hot.
and I don't like sanding. Alright, so I'm going to start cutting and grinding instead. So I got these tail lights here, and they need a little sprucing up. They've got some oxidation on them, and the best way to do that is actually hit it with a sander, polish them, and then hit them with a clear coat. But we're not going to do any of that. I'm just going to hit it with some clear coat that I got for the wheels, and we'll see if that improves them at all. Not done sanding, but we're getting it masked off anyway, and then we're going to come back and get all this, get the remainder of this sanded. But you can see on the hood, you basically have to take it down to metal. You can leave the primer, but the paint had to come off. So regardless of what anybody else says, that stuff was just going to bubble up the minute we put paint on it. So I'll go ahead and shoot it with the self-etching primer after I get this side sanded, but it's masked off, so we're getting that much closer. I'm running out of daylight, and I gotta get this thing painted. Plus rain tomorrow. We'll see. Cut up the old futon there. Let me show you what we got mocked up. This will fit just like that. And then we'll add these bigger pieces to the center to give it a little bit more bulky look. I think that's going to work.
Well, I was up into the night last night until it got so dark that I couldn't see much. Had a light on out here, but it's kind of hard to see. I'm sure you can tell. I've had to sit here and heat this stuff up with a torch and scrape it with a scraper to get it off, because no amount of chemical or sandpaper is removing that sticky crap. And I just wanted to smooth as possible. So that is really slowing the progress down. And now I basically got about a day and a half to get it fully primered and painted, 3 colors. And I got to put a wing on the back that I haven't even built yet, that I was going to make out of a car hood, and I'm not sure if that's going to work. And I don't have a welder here yet because I haven't moved all that stuff to the new shop. No problem. Self-tappers and a whole lot of Gorilla Glue, and hopefully we can stick this thing together in the next day and a half. I did go ahead and primer the grill and the bumper and the mirrors. Like I said, we did that the other night. Looks pretty good. I started working on the roof and noticed there's a lot of peeling paint up there, so I'm going to jump up on the roof today. Oh, I took the orange light off too. Sand that off, and that way I can put fresh primer up there. It'll be nice and smooth. The hood's done. This fender's done, other than the goo that I had to remove. And I'll finish the rest of this panel and get the rest of that double-sided tape off. Moving to this side, everything's already taped up. So at this point, once I get all of this paint off, we should be able to, well, and the double-sided tape. I get all that off, all the paint off, should be able to just go ahead and hit it with primer. I've got it sitting there, the gun's ready, so I'll hook everything up and I will just shoot the primer on. I guess I'll blow the leaves off first, but then shoot the primer on, get that done. I guess I got to do the windshield, tape it up, but that won't take long. Oh, I still have a door to do. Dang it. Top of that door and all this door, because all of that paint has to come off. Tractor painting isn't that expensive, but tractor painting is still hard, and if anybody ever said that painting is easy, the painting part probably is, but the body work, which is necessary, has to happen. Otherwise this paint would be lifted before I even made it halfway to Tucson. I guess if I didn't care, I could have just rolled on top of it and just went with it, but I do actually want it to last long enough to have some fun with it and maybe even sell it. Now I'm sure some of you are asking, why the A-Team van? Well, it's cool. I grew up watching these shows. Dukes of Hazzard, A-Team, Fall Guy, Airwolf, which I think that's the only one they haven't remade. Airwolf? Alright, Universal, look into that. Remake Airwolf. Only so I can hate it as much as I hated the other remakes. But what I'm going to say is, I can't afford a Dodge Charger to build me a General Lee clone. Chris Birdsong did, and it's awesome. I've seen it in person. I'd love to go for a ride and it just rip around. That's what he built it for. So I think if he brings, well, if he shows up to Duct Tape Drags and he brings his General Lee, we have to park the A-Team van next to it. In the meantime, air shocks are holding. Back end is raised up just a little bit, and it's going to look good with the tires. I got the rears here. The fronts haven't made it here yet. I don't know why they shipped them separately, but the rears are here. So I need to get those put on the rims and we can get those mounted up after I paint it. All in all, I think this is going to be a pretty cool replica. It's obviously not Canon. It's obviously not correct. I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a wing. And sure as heck I'm not going to spend money on the cattle guard, brush guard looking thing when I've got a futon right here that'll work perfect. It's already getting hot out, but I know it's supposed to rain later in the day, and I really don't want to paint this inside and get paint dust everywhere and make the shop smell bad. So if I want to do this outside, yes, it's going to get dirty, but let's hope it doesn't get rained on. So let's get this done. So yeah, this sucks. I went ahead and took a lot of the flaking paint off, but there's just simply no way I'm going to get this whole roof completely done in time to go ahead and finish this side of the van and get it primered and get it painted, and it's going to rain. We'll get as much primer on this top as we can, and hopefully it lasts a while. If not, you can always just tape off and redo the roof, but I got to get to going on the sides. At least it's cooled off a little bit. All right, back to it. It's been a full day of sanding. Still got some spots to hit, but I've realized this van is a little bit Kardashian. It's had some work done. See it here, a few spots there. Pretty much the whole bottom of that door had a chunk of Bondo fall out, so we'll repair that correctly with some short strand fiberglass. But I've got a little bit of this door left, plus we're gonna do that repair. I've got this door left, this fender left, and then just hit a few more spots, and then this thing's ready for primer. And just in time, it's about to rain. I've got to get to it, but I wanted to catch you up on the progress. And here's the good thing, that it's had a little bit of work done. That means from here down it's been repainted, so it's not that crappy paint like up here that's all porous. I've already hit this with the sander a couple times and noticed this stuff is pretty quality. It is a base coat, clear coat down here, and it's not just falling apart like this stuff. This one, you hit it with the sander and you can immediately see all those little holes like I showed you before. This is not doing that. So that's promising that I can just do a scratch and shoot. But we still have this door to finish and this fender. And I'm just worn out. Motor on, because this thing has to be primed and painted in 2 days. Here we go. Getting the air compressor ready to blow this thing off, but I got pretty much all the paint off that I could get. I got it all masked up except for the windshield. So now I'm gonna blow off all the dust and then figure out how to prime it in the dark, because I don't want to do it inside. Now I still have to sand down the old kitty hair short strand fiberglass, but in the meantime I figured I'd go ahead and start wiping everything down. I'm using a multi-purpose foaming prep cleaner. Couldn't find the basic wax and grease remover, but thankfully this tractor paint's pretty forgiving. The primer seems to be holding well, and don't forget to wash your windows, even if they are covered in paint. Alright, wipe down, ready to primer. I'm going to go ahead and open up our Harbor Freight 32-ounce siphon feed spray gun. Got this on sale, $29.99. Instructions, nope. Assuming that's a cleaning kit, might need that. I was told that this would work pretty well because it's got a 1.8 nozzle. Now I didn't want to shoot primer and then paint through it, but I could only get one gun because that's all they had. Come on, Harbor Freight, if you're going to offer a discounted gun, have more than one on the shelf. Now, I've never shot with the gun before, so I can only imagine this is going to go well. We're going to hook our air line to here. I've got a regulator also from Harbor Freight and a dryer, but I talked to a painting expert and they said grab this gun, just shoot, do a full panel, don't stop in the middle, and use tractor paint because it's forgiving. They of course recommended better stuff, but tractor paint's where we're at. I'm going to wet this floor down and we're going to shoot. Now, I'd said I wanted to shoot outside, and I'm probably not going to make the shop owner very happy, but it's raining outside and you can't really shoot in the rain. So I've covered everything with plastic and I've got fans going. Better bring this in while it's raining. Well, while pulling the hose through, camera got knocked over, parts fell off, and now this doesn't display, nor does this, so no idea if it even works anymore. Awesome. Well, I'm not a fan of losing that really expensive camera, so I apologize now if the quality's low, but I'm out of time, so all the other prep work that should be done isn't getting done. We're just going to put primer on and hope it looks halfway decent. I mean, the goal here is, does it look like an 18 van? Don't get too close to it. Well, it really sucks that I broke my camera, but here it is primed. You can see my really bad body work, but that's okay. We're not too worried about that. Oh, this one really sticks out. I might go ahead and sand that one. So this had a couple of scratches down the side. They're apparently a lot deeper than I thought, because you can still see them. But again, we're not trying to win any awards here. It's definitely primed. So the goal is to have this thing on the road tomorrow. Unfortunately, Priority Tire kind of let me down. I ordered 4 tires for this. I needed the white letter tires. That's why I ordered tires. And the rears showed up, but the fronts didn't. But when you look up the order number, it shows the rears are still in Nebraska. They were supposed to be here 2 days ago. Now they're estimating them not to get here until later in the week, which I have to leave like tomorrow. I hate to say it, but we might end up going with 20-year-old tires on this thing instead of the cool white letter tires I was supposed to have. It's been about an hour, so I know according to Van Sickle, I can go ahead and start kind of sanding this or even shooting a coat over top of it. So I kind of want to fix a little bit of the body work that I did. I don't want to go overboard, but let's fix those few little things, then reshoot some primer over that, and then I guess it's time for color. And here's our colors, if I didn't show you before. We got the gloss black and the gloss Ferguson gray. I really wanted some metallic, like a metallic silver, but unfortunately they didn't have any on the shelf. So I ordered a little bit of glitter here, just a few dollars. A little bit goes a long way, I understand. It's probably going to turn out horrible, but we're going to try it anyway. I didn't really like how the metallic was sitting on the surface, so some of it's still sitting there. And I'm sure a cut and a polish would probably help either bring it out or hide it, either way. But I just shot 2 more coats of just the gray base coat without the glitter. And I don't know, it's got a lot of runs in it, but it's not horrible. So I'm going to clean this up, and then I'm just going to start pulling the tape, because we got to tape the other half to get the black on. Well, while I'm still waiting on the paint to dry, I decided to go ahead and take that piece from Brian Vantana that goes right here and fitted it underneath. So at least it'll look like we kind of got a little bit of a chin spoiler there. Homemade, free, it'll do the job. Okay, I've got some errands to run, including going to pick up the tires that are hopefully going to be here by now. In the meantime, it's black. It's not good. The bodywork's not great, and black shows everything. It's full of dirt. It's got overspray. It's got orange peel, and it's got runs. But you know what? It's black. And at this point, this is all we can ask for. So I'm going to go run my errands, come back, and just see how bad it is. All right, let's see how it looks. Well, it's not as glossy as I'd hoped, but it's good enough. I think it'll work. At this point, I'm just waiting on tires to show up. I've got the rear set, but not the front set. FedEx has been giving me the runaround for the last 2 days, telling me that, oh, they're going to be here, they're going to be here. They promised they're going to be here today. But that was supposedly at 11 o'clock, and then they changed it to 1:45. It's now 2 o'clock. Still no tires. So hopefully they show up today so that I can get them put on tomorrow. In the meantime, we got to finish up this red stripe. I got to figure something out on the spoiler. I haven't quite got that figured out yet. And honestly, I just need to get ready to go. So got one more treat for the top on the roof, and then we're going to start taking all this masking off. Yes, I know I still got to do the red stripe, but I'm waiting on paint to dry before I can do the red. I don't want to tape onto my black paint and then immediately have it peel off. That would just be disheartening. So I'm doing little things to kind of raise my spirit, including putting the license plate on and, of course, peeling all the masking tape off. That really just made it look that much better, even though the paint is not great. We're putting double-sided tape on these emblems. We're going to hope and pray that they don't come off. It is Gorilla 3M stuff, so we'll see. Here we go. This goes right in the middle. Now, of course, this is not a GMC, it's a Chevrolet. But did you know that in the A-Team remake, the van that they made for that movie was all black, the stripe was different, and it was actually a 1990 Chevrolet. I really like that. Yes, I know, it's not a GMC grill. It's not a GMC van. But there's certain iconic things we need to make stand out. The stripe, the two-tone, the wing, and of course the GMC logo that we stole off of my 89 one-ton. And just like that, we got ourselves an A-Team van. I want to thank AuxBeam for sending me this giant Lightbar, because I'm not going to go out and buy expensive lights just to put on this van. So I modified their Lightbar just a bit to give me the look I'm looking for. And I think it does the trick. And then I'll just zip her in with some self-tappers and call it good. Tires going on the rim. It's just a few minutes. Good morning. I'm up bright and early trying to mask this thing off to finish the red. I'm hoping that the black has set up enough that this is not going to peel it all off, and if it does, I'll just hit it with a spray paint can along the way. I gotta get going. So, ready or not, here I come. While I'm thinking about it, I wanna thank a few people. First of all, AuxBeam for sending me the light. That's awesome, love it. But while I'm thanking people, thank you, Jim, for finding this undercover surveillance van and picking me up at the airport. Thanks to John Summit for all the painting advice. I honestly didn't listen to most of it, and you can tell because the paint is horrible. But without your advice, John, I wouldn't have even gotten this far. I want to thank Mom and Becca, and I've got a new hat. They're getting made right now. You can see it in this video. I think they're just an awesome color, and you can pick up yours at buffsgarage.com. All right, I got to get back to masking. Okay, this is as good as I'm going to get it, so I want to get this completely sprayed as much as possible so it has time to dry before I got to go. Now, in true bad painter fashion, I'll probably pick up some pinstripe and pinstripe between the red and the gray and the red and the black. It'll not only set off the red stripe, but it also kind of hides my mess ups. Oh, good. No. Kind of the motto of my whole channel, cheap and available. I should really like the cardboard. Let's hope it worked. Paper's one-time use. But the cardboard seems to be working pretty good. Key takeaways from this. Number one, take your time. If you've never done this before, research it. I was lucky enough to have somebody to call who gave me the quick down and dirty. For a guy that knows nothing, I don't know the terms, I don't know the sweat, the flash, the cure, I didn't know what all that meant. So I got a quick down and dirty. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. This is the kind of stuff you need to use. I will tell you this, tractor paint isn't car paint, but it is a lot more forgiving and you can get away with more. The black didn't turn out quite as good as I wanted, but that's all about the prep. So truly, when I say take your time, do the body work. Especially with black, all of my body work shows because I didn't do a great job at it. I literally slapped it on, sanded it down, and went. If you're going to use any dark color, you need to make sure it is glass smooth. So that's a lot of sanding, a lot of time. If I'd have done this right, I probably would have spent a week or so just sanding it, just getting it smooth as glass. Then I would have come in and primed it. To do it correctly, once that primer's cured, you put a guide coat down and then you block sand it. You get it as smooth as possible. And block sanding, you can see on Pole Barn Garage or other YouTube channels talking about painting, they show you how to block sand, which you just kind of mist it black and then you sand the high spots. Now, Once you've done that, and it's all clean, then you have to completely wipe the entire thing down and grease and wax remover. And then you use that sticky gauze looking stuff, and it takes that last final wipe and gets all the lint and fuzz and just dust off of it. And I can tell you, I did it down the side of the van, but I missed some spots, and that's where it looks hazy. That's where it looks like it has texture. It's where I missed wiping down with that sticky stuff. But all in all, I'm not completely unhappy. And honestly, I just have to finish the other side so that I can get the wheels on it and we can go. One step closer, because I need to leave in about probably an hour, maybe 2. We'll see. Now it's time to go ahead and switch these tires over. Give it a little bit more attitude. Not bad. Save them for later. This is where the coolness factor is at. Look at those. All right, one down. That looks sick. Tire's not so bad. And here come the big, beautiful monsters. So I went with a 235/70/15 in the front and a 255/70/15 in the back. So it's a wider and taller tire. I think it's going to give us just a little more attitude, as long as we don't hit anything. And wide enough for you? I think those turned out just perfect. All right, things are really starting to add up here to where I can probably get this knocked out and get out of here in the next hour or so. But to do that, I'm just gonna knock out those other 2 wheels, not on camera, then get inside, get cleaned up, packed, and hit the road, because we got one more special piece we have to go pick up, but it's an hour away. So found a flaw. Tire's so dang wide, the door won't open. Oh well, we don't really need that anyway. We're tactical. We can still get in this way. I love it when a van comes together.
If you can't make something fast, make it cool. And I think I nailed it. Yes, I did it quick in 2.5 days. I painted over the windows, had some issues with wheels and tires, and all along the route it helped me grow my channel. So thank you to all my new subscribers, thank you to the long-term subscribers, and of course the Tappy Tap Club members. Make sure to check out all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and even TikTok. And of course you're watching me on YouTube, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment. Let me know if you like the A-Team van, and if you'd like to see more celebrity cars recreated poorly. And don't forget, the best way to help me out is head over to buffsgarage.com, pick you up a shirt or a hat or even a sticker. I even got hoodies coming for the cooler weather. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all your support, and I'll see you next week right here at Buff's Garage. Click the link up here to a short where I use the actual theme song, and you know, it just works.